Today is the day that I make my first attempt to revive my French in any type of caliber since May 2018. That's when I graduated high school.
Il y a un an, j'étais au même endroit où je suis maintenant, à Guatemala, et je tentais de faire la même chose que je vais faire cette semaine. La seule différence, c'est que cette fois, je vais réussir. Ça, c'est une promesse. It has been a constant struggle ever since I graduated high school to even find the why of learning French. I started learning French in high school just because I already spoke Spanish and they wouldn't let me take Spanish. But I very quickly fell in love with the language. Not to flex, I was pretty much always the best person in my class.
Can I have an M&M?
Jesus.
There were so many connections and solid ties that I had to the language, right? Boom, 2018, I graduated. Where did it go? Who knows? It's almost like I would compare it to the situation of how when you quit a job and you need to have another position already so that you're not just unemployed when you quit this job. When I graduated high school, it's like I quit the job, but I had nothing else. So it's like, fuck, now I'm just drifting in the middle of nowhere. Where am I?
The thing is, I've never studied French on my own. I've always had the guidance of a teacher. I've always had the camaraderie and mutual suffering of classmates.
Just the struggle that I feel. It's like I feel like I'm still nowadays forging a connection with the French language that I never had to, because when I was in high school and I learned French, all the materials were given to me. All the motivation, the deadlines were given to me. It's like I never forged my own way into French, so now I have to do it myself. Roll the tape. Today, I'm gonna sing a song. Kidding, I'm not gonna sing, but I will translate a song. You guys know that I love translating songs and working with music to learn languages. I actually have a video on that, if you want to go check that out. But there's this song called Agitation Tropicale. I forget who the artist is, but I've been addicted to it recently, and literally the only lyrics from the song I know is Agitation Tropicale. So yeah, I'm looking to change that today. But I'm tired of being cooped up, y'all. Look at this beautiful place where I am. I don't know, I want to be in public. I want to be around people. So I'm gonna go to a cafe and do my work, because I feel like I have two modes. It's like the first mode, I need to get this shit done, so everybody leave me alone. I'm sitting in my room for 20 hours and I'm not coming out. But outside of situations like that, I think I really do prefer being around people, being in public. It makes me feel so much more happy to just see life happening. And in turn, that makes me more productive. Not to center everything around productivity, but at the end of the day, I gotta get shit done. So I'm basic and I don't know how to drink coffee, so the only coffee that I drink is mocha. That's okay, right? I don't know. So after writing down all these lyrics, I haven't even started translating yet, but I already realized that I've broken the first rule of my music translation tutorial, whatever. But you can't just pick it on a whim. You have to evaluate it as a study material if that's your intention with the song. For example, if the song is overly poetic, it's probably not going to serve you best. Let me read you just a little bit of this shit. Sous son écorce impassible, on devine sa lascivité mutine, sa tendresse libertine. When am I ever gonna say that? I'm never gonna use any of these words, but they still have value. I love poetic stuff, and I really like this song, and I want to be able to sing along to it, so I'm gonna keep going with it. I don't care. I am concerned about the fact, though, that I've already gone through and highlighted, the words that I don't know, and it's almost the entire song, so send help. I finally just finished this translation. That was a wild ride. When I translate songs, I always highlight new words in pink, and I highlight new grammar stuff or grammar stuff that I want to review in blue. This song didn't really have any complete sentences. It's all just words and phrases, right? So I didn't highlight anything for grammar because I pretty much already recognize everything. But I did take a decent bit of vocab. Most of the words were adjectives. This song is very adjective rich. For example, pacifique, fier, impassible, all good words. So I take all the words that I highlight and I put them in a list when I'm done. And then there's words that I recognize and I can understand, but words that I wouldn't necessarily say myself or be able to just produce off the top of my head. And those are the words that I put a star next to. Honestly, I liked this translation. It was a nice change. I don't feel overwhelmed because I know that these words are not all words that I need, so I don't feel super pressured to remember every single thing. But I love this song. I I love this artist, L'Impératrice. You guys should listen to them if you haven't already. Is it recording? Oh god, okay. I'm so nervous right now, you guys. I'm about to take my first Lingoda lesson in a long ass time. I haven't used Lingoda since 2020, like during the pandemic. I got really into it, but then I got broke for a long time. But I'm not broke anymore, so yay. If you don't know what Lingoda is already, it's basically like an online language school where you, the language learner, can get connected with teachers in online classes, whether it's like a group class or just a private one-on-one class, which I tend to prefer one-on-one classes just because I like that individual attention and like, you know, getting the maximum speaking time out of the lesson, you know, because if you're in a group class, sometimes maybe you have like slightly different levels or abilities and it can make it a bit difficult, but anyways, yeah. I do love me some personal classes. So if you're learning English, business English, Spanish, French, German, lucky you, because those are the languages that Lingoda offers. They make like their own design courses with like specific chapters and levels spanning from A1 to B2, I believe. And these chapters are split up into 5 skills, so like speaking, communication, reading, grammar, and listening, which I think is super cool because it is important to address like all the different aspects of language learning, right? And when you're looking through the chapters for like your next class, you can actually see the course material, like the class material, even before you book it. So that's super cool because it's like you can prepare way in advance. Now I've chosen Lingoda for getting back into French because I do need like a little bit of help. I don't know. Like I know that one of my main goals right now is to like
blow up and then act like I don't know nobody.
become more independent and not rely on provided material, but provided material is still super helpful because I feel like sometimes I forget all of like the basics and like sometimes I skip a lot just to get to the advanced stuff because I'm like, oh, I want to learn how to talk about politics. It's like, girl, you don't even know how to fucking say your ABCs. I do. That was just a joke. Was it though? But ironically, the first class that I'm taking after my long-ass Lingoda hiatus is La science améliore nos vies, so talking about how science improves our lives. Lingoda does have flexible plans, so you can choose, like for the more lax learner, you can take 1, 3, 5, or even 10 lessons a week and just pay as you go, like every 4 weeks. Or for like the more committed, serious learners, you can just learn for 3 months at a time, 6 months at a time, 12 months at a time, and just pay it up front. But whatever you decide to do, you can actually take a free trial period. Like many things nowadays, they always have, you know, free trial. It's 7 days, 3 group classes, or one-on-one like personalized class to see if you like it. And since Lingoda is so generous, you know how they do. I do have a link down in the description if you would like 30% off your first payment after. You know, if you do decide you want to continue with it after the initial trial period, I got you. 30%. You know you want to. Okay, go take the class. I'm giving it to you. Tiens, if you want me to say it in French. You literally don't have to pay anything. Try it out, alright? Anyways, let's go take this class. Let's get this bread.
Allez, Pic, est-ce qu'on peut vous présenter, s'il vous plaît? Élise. Bonjour, bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Bon, je suis Alice. Je suis américaine, mais je suis maintenant en Guatemala.
Vous parlez espagnol, j'imagine?
Oui, je parle espagnol. Mieux que le français.
Oh non,
oui,
c'est pas possible, vous parlez
c'est dommage.
français.
Mais je tente.
Ok, c'est un cours de communication. La science améliore nos vies. Les progrès de la science ne cesseront jamais de m'étonner. Est-ce que quelqu'un sait ce que ça veut dire? Le mot étonner, Élise, dans ce contexte?
Quelque chose que de surprise.
Très bien, c'est très bien. Donc, les progrès de la science ne cesseront jamais de m'étonner, ne cesseront jamais de me surprendre.
Surprendre.
J'ai eu beaucoup de plaisir à vous présenter ce cours. J'espère que le plaisir a été partagé. Je vous souhaite de passer une très très bonne soirée. Ça dépend, une bonne journée, ça dépend de là où on se situe. Et puis j'espère vous retrouver très 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 bientôt. Merci bien. Au revoir.
Merci. Something really funny. Throughout the entire class, he kept saying, like, he was addressing all of us as vous, right? Like, formal. So when he would call us to do an activity, he'd be like, allez-y.
Allez-y, Elise.
And I could have sworn every time he was calling my name. Because I never know. People pronounce my name all different kinds of ways. Elise, Alice, Elise. I don't even know. And so every time he said allez-y, I was like, yes. Nobody called you, girl. Nobody called you. Also, I kept speaking Spanish and he kept calling me out on it. There was 2 times that I was like using it. Oh no, the first one, I was trying to say pollution. So I was like, contamination. He was like, no, pollution. I knew that. I was just taking a risk. I don't know. And then the second time I was saying like to trust somebody and I was like confier. avoir confiance. He was like, vous parlez l'espagnol? I was like, I know, please don't point it out, please. It's just such a hard existence being so just lovely and multilingual all the time. I can't turn it off. What do you want me to do? God. Anyways, I got some new words. Mètre carré. I did not know how to say square meters up until this point. Prévoir, se prononcer, ça c'est faire une opinion, non? Permis de conduire, parce que j'ai dit... Qu'est-ce que j'ai dit? J'ai pas de licence. Non. I had a blast. I think I've never had a group class that was over 4 people. I'm not sure what's the maximum number of people they'll put in the group class, but my class was only 3 students and a teacher, so 10 out of 10 experience. Well, I'm gonna go regain my brain cells, probably eat some junk food. Bonsoir. Ciao, ciao. Well, I am staying right next to a children's daycare, so if you hear screaming children, no you don't. Okay? Okay. But let's time travel real quick. Does anybody remember beginning of 2020? Anybody? Around this time, I was so desperate to get my German speaking better. This is the same era as I spoke German every day for 2 months. Does anybody remember that? I sure do. So something that I would do around that same period to practice my speaking was I would watch story times in German. I would listen to it like maybe twice or thrice just to like solidify it in my head, and then I would record myself retelling the story. I wish I came up with this. It was not my idea. It was actually my friend Spoonful of Language, Robin, who recommended it to me, and it's pretty fucking fun. I like it. First of all, because I'm chismosa and I love listening to everybody else's business. Second of all, because it's just another form of talking to yourself. I advocate all the time for you to talk to yourself. There's no way you can be embarrassed just talking to yourself, right? I think the number one reason people get scared to speak a language is because they don't want to embarrass yourself. But if you're sitting alone in your room, there you go. Who's gonna check you? Nobody. So we are gonna humble ourselves a little bit today, go back to my roots. The way that I find story times in the language that I want to practice this with, I just look up the word story time on YouTube because that's a pretty universal word, along with the first person singular pronoun in the language, so ich, or in this case, je. And when you look up storytime je, there's actually a very decent amount of story times here. Keep in mind, it's a lot for me to sit down and watch a story time, even in English. Like, story times are not my ideal content to kick back and relax, but for language learning, that's a different story. So, okay, we have this one from Fifi Darling. Storytime, ma relation dangereuse avec un prof. That's juicy. So I think we're gonna go with this one. I might not watch the whole thing. I might just try to watch and summarize like a tidbit of it, but Fifi Darling, just take us there, girl. On y va.
I am ready. Yes, I am ready. Go! Plein de bisous et puis on se retrouve à l'annexe pour une prochaine vidéo.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Mon Dieu. Je sais pas ce qui s'est passé. Justement, c'est une histoire très très compliquée. Je crois qu'il faut l'écouter de nouveau, non? 2 fois. Be right back.
72 hours later.
Whoop. Bonjour. Donc, une amie mienne, elle a commencé une relation avec un prof de sport à son école. Celui-ci est passé quand elle était jeune, donc je sais pas si elle s'est rendue compte qu'elle est la victime, parce qu'elle a dit qu'elle a honte de cette histoire, de la situation, mais je pense qu'il n'y a pas de quoi avoir honte. Donc ma amie, elle avait des cours de sport au lycée, et son prof de sport était un peu bizarre. Tous les jours, après le cours de sport, il la suivait à la cantine, pendant l'heure de déjeuner, non? Pour la regarder. Et depuis, après des semaines, elle s'est rendue compte de ça. Mais un jour, elle est restée à l'école jusqu'à le soir, donc jusqu'à 18h30, quelque chose comme ça. S'est fermée dans une salle pour réviser pour ses examens. Ce temps-là était le temps des examens. Après 5 minutes, devine qui est entré. Le prof de sport. Il lui a demandé est-ce que je peux m'asseoir, j'attends à quelqu'un m'aille chercher. Et elle a dit que oui. Ils ont commencé à parler un peu, small talk, tout ça. Finalement, le prof lui demande est-ce que tu veux que je t'aide avec les révisions pour les examens. Elle a dit que oui et ils ont échangé ses numéros. Et Moi, je crois que c'était en grande erreur, ça. Ils ont commencé à se voir, à s'appeler pendant la semaine, mais jamais pendant le week-end. Pour elle, ça, c'était un peu... Elle avait ses suspicions de pourquoi. Non. Le temps passe, et il commence à reprendre moins fréquentement. Je sais pas. Et un jour, finalement, elle en a marre et elle lui pose la question: pourquoi est-ce que tu ne réponds pas à mes messages pendant le week-end? Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Est-ce que tu es occupé? Quelque chose comme ça. Elle lui confesse la vérité. Il est marié et elle a une fille. Et ça a été la version courte de l'histoire et c'était en vidéo de 20 minutes. Donc si tu le veux regarder, tu peux. Je peux pas tout raconter ici maintenant. Moi je crois que la leçon de l'histoire c'est très simple de ne commencer par des relations avec les profs et de se fier toujours à sa intuition parce qu'elle avait sa suspicion avant de découvrir qu'elle était mariée et qu'elle avait une fille.
So, is this method as effective as I remember it? I'm gonna have to say yes. Honestly, it's, especially after watching it twice, it's like you really remember a lot that you thought you forgot, in my case at least. It's great for, you know, shadowing, mimicking people's accents, and it's just good to hear French in its natural context at a natural speed. I would say the only, like, tough thing about it is that it's so energy consuming, because, like, you have to be on for, like, 20 minutes straight, listening to every detail to be able to tell this story well. And do that twice, so, like, at least 2 times in a row, to just be on. And then production of the language is even harder when you're retelling it. It's a wild ride, but I think it went pretty well. It's time to get a little introspective. You feel me? So, something I did a couple months ago with German, I always keep comparing everything to German, but it's literally the language that I have the most, like, studying experience in, so be it. So something I did a couple months ago was write every day for 30 days, and it really helped me, like, I remember that it really helped me just solidify, I don't know, like, my thoughts and concentrate better, because I feel like with French, I get in panic a lot of times, because, like, I haven't spoken it in so long, so I just need to, like, recollect, and I think that writing actually helps me speak better in some aspects, especially if I have corrections. So my plan is do a little diary entry, maybe like half a page, maybe a full page, I don't know if I'm feeling saucy yet, and then get corrections, because usually if I post stuff on my story and ask, someone inevitably always steps up. Anyways, let's get writing. Yeah, bonjour, how's it going? I was actually practicing some French before you called. Don't look at it! Yeah.
Super, excellent.
Merci. What the hell? I'll see you guys in the morning to do some corrections on my little diary entry that I did. Hopefully you guys didn't tear me apart. Okay, good night. Bonsoir. You know, it's been a while since I was humbled like this. So this is what I posted on my story, and you guys absolutely ripped it apart. That's a good thing though, honestly. I just crossed out and like annotated the original text and then rewrote it with the corrections the right way. Don't you just love neat handwriting? Okay, so to actually talk about such corrections, it's a mixture of basic dumb mistakes for me and actual important things that I didn't know. Like for example, I wrote un nouveau ami instead of un nouvel ami. Forgot the whole liaison thing where you change nouveau to nouvelle if it's followed by a word that starts with a vowel, in this case, ami. I wrote nous nous avons rencontré instead of nous nous sommes rencontrés. And let me say something. I understand this concept perfectly. I remember in school they always said whenever it's like a reflexive verb, it's always going to be être instead of avoir. So I don't need an explanation on that. The fact is that different languages do this in different ways. So like German does this, but it's not always black and white. You know, there's a lot of gray area. In German, there's a lot of times where both works, like sein versus haben. So it's not that I don't understand the concept of why you use être with a reflexive verb. It's just, yeah, I've been out the game for a while and I'm thinking with German brain. So I was like, rencontrer, that's not really like, doesn't really sound like a verb that you would use that with, because it's not, I don't know, it's not a verb of motion. There's nothing really changing. That was my logic. But I forgot. It's just black and white. If it's reflexive, être. I feel like the rest of the corrections were just like word choice or, you know, stuff that sounded awkward, but, you know, I made myself understood, but it wasn't the best way to say it. So like, I said, je suis toujours en cherchant de nouvelles expériences. And someone said you should just say, je suis toujours à la recherche de nouvelles expériences. So I was basically there, but it's too formal, so they're like, you should just say this. Something interesting, I said voler nos drones, like to fly our drones, but voler just means to fly in the sense of like the drone is flying, right? But to fly a drone, that's like a transitive action, so you have to say faire voler, like to make the drone fly, which makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. For the most part, I did pretty good. That's what people told me as well. Like sometimes it was just a bit awkward, but generally I feel like I have a pretty good grip on the French language. I would make myself understood right now. And that's what's important, even if I have little awkward wording sometimes, or I make things sound too formal. I guess I would rather sound more formal than sound idiotic, right? I just need more time and more French-speaking friends. I don't have that many French-speaking friends. Where do y'all find those? Canada? Africa? Anyways, this is probably going to be like a continuing effort. You know, I can't accomplish my independence in French in 1 week, obviously. But this is a step, you know, and I want to keep taking those steps, explore different methods and things like that. So, thank you for accompanying me. It means a lot. I don't like doing things alone. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Why not? Subscribe, maybe hit the bell if you want to go absolutely crazy. Or you can follow me on my social media if you would like. That's Elise de Vega on Twitter, or Elise Speaks on Instagram. That's ELYSSESPEAKS. Catch you on the flip. Next time you see me, I probably won't be in Guatemala. Maybe I will. I don't know. A bientôt.